around, but that's not what it's about. I'm going to keep throwing it, and you know, I don't think we could have came back the last 2 weeks if I'm afraid to stick a ball in there in a tight situation, because I'm not.
So in your mind, you really can't foresee any way, as long as you're healthy, that you're not going to be the starting quarterback?
I didn't say it.
He didn't say it, so his head coach said it for him.
In the baseball playoffs this past year, manager Grady Little, you know, he hung on to a struggling Pedro Martinez, and everybody screaming for the relief pitcher. What kind of scenario would be there for you to make a replacement?
I can't imagine it right now. I think he needs to know that. I think this football team needs to know that. I think there's an element of trust that's involved there as a head coach, and I think it's very important that these players understand that you trust him. I think if Mark gets injured, obviously, then Kurt will play. After that second half of the Bears game, I'm convinced he has what it takes, and we're just going to stay with him.
It was near the end of a sloppy first half in that Bears game 2 weeks ago when Mike Martz and Kurt Warner had a sideline conversation unlike anything I've ever heard in my 40 years of coaching.
I told him, starting in the third quarter, if Mark continues to struggle, we need to win this game. I'm thinking about a change. And he said, okay, I'll get ready. And then he turned to me and he said,
hey, Coach, you know, I think you ought to ride him out with this. I just felt if Mark could go in that second half and make some plays, we could rally around him a little bit, we could still win that football game. And I think that's what you have to do with this position, that this position is so fragile that you have to, once you make a decision with a guy, you have to ride him out. You have to ride him through the thick and through the thin.
For a player who was always in the thick of things, being the backup quickly wears thin.
Do you kind of get the itch to get on out there and go and take his place?
I've had that itch since the first time they pulled me off the field, and I'll always have that itch. That itch doesn't change whether he's playing well or whether he's not playing well.
But you still consider yourself a starter in this league, right?
No question about it.
Isn't it tough, though, you know, MVP of the league, Super Bowl winner? Isn't it tough being on the sidelines and knowing you can still do it?
Extremely. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through in football. I mean, I can't even put it into words how frustrating it is to have to sit there and watch. But the team's made a decision. The coach has made a decision, and you know, I have to respect that. I have to respect the authority and wait for my time to come again, because I know that I've got a lot of football left, and I will play again.
Would you consider staying here with the Rams as a backup next year?
You know, if I had my choice to go somewhere and be a starter or to stay here and be a backup, I want to be a starter. I want to play.
I'll stand by you.
If he has a few more interceptions, would you make a change?
I just believe that when you start doing that with quarterbacks, you're just really asking for problems, and so that's where we are.
Time now for a sprint to cover the field.
Sprint Covers the Field is brought to you by Sprint, proudly offering picture mail and PCS Vision picture phones.
All right, on Thursday, we ask our viewers, what's the best part about Thanksgiving? Well, believe it or not, family, TB, beat out the Dallas cheerleaders.
Thank you. I love family.
Yep, by the way,
I
Terry
like
did
food.
vote for the cheerleaders. Now, today's sprint question is, who is the coach of the year? Is it Bill Belichick, Tony Dungy, John Fox, Marvin Lewis, or Bill Parcells?
Where's Dick Vermeil?
Where's Dick Vermeil, folks? Vote right now by logging on to the sharp-looking foxsports.com or by using that great little Sprint phone that has PCS Vision. All right, let's get back to the Rams situation. Jimmy, if Kurt Warner wants to play so badly, why didn't he a couple weeks ago when Mike Martz asked him to go in?
Everybody says, well, it's because you got to have one guy, got to stick with him on and on and on. I don't know that I was buying it. I think he may be a little bit upset that they benched him in the first place, and he's never been told why they benched him. But, you know, as much as he wants to be out of there, I don't think it's going to happen because it's going to be too difficult. Number one, you know, you look at Mark Bulger, he does not have a contract. He's a restricted free agent, and if they don't sign him to a long-term contract, they need Kurt Warner to stay there.
Why would you? Let me just jump in here. Warner's what, 33 years old, 34?
Right.
I don't understand him turning down the I don't understand him turning down the opportunity to get his job back. That I don't. That tells me this: he's ticked off with the Rams, ticked off with Mike Martz, and he wants out of there. There is no excuse as a competitor
to not take that opportunity.
Right. Bulger, on the hand, thrown more interceptions in the month of November than anybody in the history of this game.
That comes from their head coach. Their head coach believes that you have to be aggressive offensively. They have led the league in turnovers ever since he's been a head coach.
Jimmy, they got 32 turnovers this year.
You can't win the big games turning the ball over.
Interestingly enough, they play a Viking team that leads the league in interceptions with 22. They have 14 at the safety position alone.
So we're going to see a lot of that today.
What Minnesota has to do is get them out of that cover 2 defense that St. Louis plays. In cover 2 defense, it eliminates the big play, and it's hard for the quarterback to run the ball. 2 things that they do really well. They'd like to hit the big play, and they'd like to be able for Dante Culpepper to take off and run the football.
You cannot in this league, and I don't care who's listening, you cannot turn the football over and expect to win championships.
Jimmy, who do you like on the turf, Minnesota or St. Louis?
I like St. Louis. St. Louis is going to win the division. They're going to be in the playoffs, but they better protect the ball. They better protect the ball if they're going to go very far in the playoffs.
When he starts
they lead the league in scoring at home.
Michael Bennett might have something to say about that. Let's check out the WebMD Health Report. Atlanta's Warwick Dunn is done for the remainder of the season. Rod Woodson's knee is acting up again. He's out for the year as well. And the beating, as Jimmy mentioned, that Patrick Ramsey has taken has finally caught up with him. He's out today in favor of Tim Hasselbeck, who makes his first NFL start. Coming up, 2 healthy teams, at least in the standings, the Eagles and Panthers. Now, if defense wins championships, as Big Boy points out, then the winner of the game could be headed to the Super Bowl. Our guys break it all down. And speaking of the Eagles defense, Pam Oliver talks with one of the good guys in the league, Troy Vincent.
Here's an opportunity for me to do better, taking advantage of the platform that I've been given, the platform into going into different neighborhoods, different walks of life that if I'm not an athlete, I'm not invited into, and really making a difference in someone's life.
He's back. The Falcons' Michael Vick will suit up today as the backup quarterback, and if you're wondering if it's Michael or Mike Vick, his mother said, go with Michael. That means it's Michael. How about
My favorite Black & Decker is the Bolt.
Live in a garbage can, wouldn't care.
How is your health right now, LT? How is your health?
Fine. Oh, where'd that question go?
Well, you know, you just hear wild stories.
Wild stories.
Concern.
See, that's the problem.
No, but
with
concern
America.
from ex-teammates.
Everybody wants to listen to wild stories.
That was Lawrence Taylor on the NFL Today back in 1998 when his life was spiraling out of control after his arrest. Today, Taylor says he's a changed person, and he sat down with Mike Wallace to set the record straight. We want to warn you that some of LT's comments are very graphic, and now here's a first look at tonight's 60 Minutes interview.
LT's pulverizing hits won games and ended opponents' careers. If you were carrying the ball and saw number 56 coming at you, your number was up. For most of his 13 years in the NFL, he was the league's highest-paid defensive star. And he told us that NFL players would get a bonus when they knocked an opponent out of a game. A bounty, he called it.
Yeah, you mine. You mine, baby.
You got bounties from the coach or whatever if you knocked the opposing player.
But that's just part of being the rough and tough football player. You get no pay for doing a cheap shot. But if I hit you straight up.
And you hit me clean out of the game.
Yeah, we're going to get paid for that. That's part of life.
Over and above?
Over and above what,
How much of a bounty?
It may be $500. It may be $1,000. That's big money back then. I was a king. That was my world. And in the prime of my career, there was no one better. There was no one better.
I'm the king. I'm the king.
Yeah.
And the king had a devious way to weaken opponents the night before a game.
You would pay escort services.
Ooh.
You would send women to a running back in the opposing team just to tire them out.
Absolutely.
And it worked?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, you know what they're like, and you know what type of women they're like, and you just call it service, and what you got?
So you'd tell them to keep the player up all night if they could?
Just as long as you can. Every time they sit there and tell you, oh, we got to get some sleep, that's when the party really starts.
LT said players are constant targets for 2 treacherous temptations, beautiful women and drug dealers.
Drug dealers would hand out free samples?
they handing out free drugs and stuff because they want to be in your world. So everything is free while they're getting into your world. Once they get into your world,
they got you.
Oh, they take over your world. You no longer now it's their world, and you they're just part of it.
So powerless to resist it that the day after his final game in 1994, he was back smoking crack. Later that year, he smoked it the day the Giants retired his number.
You said if you weren't an addict or a dealer or a hooker, I didn't want to know you.
That's true. Absolutely.
You were spending about $1,000 a day.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
On escort services, 6 women a day, often. $1,000 a day on cocaine.
Oh, yeah. It was a hell of an expensive party, I tell you. A party that never ended.
Actually, that party ended in 1998. LT says he's been sober now for over 5 years. A reminder, you can see all of Mike Wallace's interview with Lawrence Taylor after our doubleheader game tonight at 7 Eastern on 60 Minutes. And by the way, the Giants said they had no comment on Taylor's claims. A lot of places we can go here. Dion, I'm going to begin with you to talk about a bounty on hits.
Right.
Is that something the fans want to know? Is that something commonplace in the NFL?
That's common. That is very common. It happens all the time. Not initiated by the team. I played for Jerry Glanville, one of the best coaches I've ever played for. We had a great time. We passed the hat around. Guys put in 100 here, 100 there, 100 there. You knock the guy out. Whoever had the biggest
interceptions.
Yeah, whoever had the biggest lick got the pot. So yeah, but not initiated from the team or the coaches.
I would say we did that with touchdown passes too. If you catch a big play, big touchdown pass, players will put it in a pole.
How about this, Dan? With security the way it is now around the league, you go on the road, the opponent's team hotel, security's everywhere. How did some of this stuff happen that he claims?
Well, really, if you think about it, back when he's probably talking about in the early 80s and close to the 90s, you didn't have the same security at the hotels that you have now. Nowadays, and late in my career, and you guys will attest to this, you couldn't get off your floor. Sometimes your families couldn't get up there. So, you know, what he's saying could have happened.
Boomer, your take.
Well, you know, the whole thing here is I've seen the whole piece, so I know exactly what he's saying. And I have a lot of issues with it, and I've said it publicly, you know, and the fact of the matter is the only reason we're talking about it is because he wrote about it and he went on 60 Minutes and he wants to talk about it. This is not the NFL that I played in. And in this piece, he talks about how he circumvented the NFL's drug testing policy by using other players' urine. I mean, to me, that's an affront. That is the fact that he shouldn't even be playing because he would have failed the drug test in the first place. And before I get to you, Dan, you know, I have a 12-year-old at home. He wants to ask me about what is crack cocaine. And crack cocaine.
Your 12-year-old don't know what crack cocaine is.
No, he doesn't. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
He doesn't watch TV or see the news.
You want to know something? Crack cocaine is an illegal substance in this country, and it's one of the things that we in the inner city and also the suburb should be taking a hell of a lot more seriously. And we got to listen to this. I'm sorry, I don't have time for it.
Go ahead, please let me talk. Let me tell you something. In LT's defense, you can't talk about a situation unless I think you're admitting it and you're really expecting. I'm sorry I sit on the podium with a couple guys that have been naive and don't understand.
Why are you saying I'm naive?
A couple guys that may not.
Saying he's naive?
No. Don't tell me you don't know what goes on in the NFL. You don't know that guys whore, guys get high, and guys do everything up under the sun. 20-year-old to 30-year-old guys with millions of dollars, that equals destruction on most of it. So you can't sit up here and tell me that you was immune to that stuff that you don't understand, and your kid has never heard of drugs or marijuana or crack cocaine. I grew up in an environment that was infested. My father used crack. My father used alcohol. I understood those things. I've never smoked or drank in my life because I knew about those things.
Well, that's the message here. The message here, if you have a kid or you have a young guy that wants to be a football player, tell him to watch the piece because that's not what you want to be. You do not want to be in a situation, LT, where his life was totally screwed up. You don't want to be in that position, and we're not naive. You know, I'm not naive from that standpoint. And the other thing, though, when you do look at the piece, at least like Jim said, there's a positive side to where he's actually made the decision in his life that he's going to clean his life up and try to be a better person. Now, he wasn't a good person before, and being a football player that way, doing drugs and alcohol and the things that he was doing.
We didn't do anything as football players. I'm sorry, I did. I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of, and I admit to it. But some people didn't do anything, and I'm so fortunate enough to sit up here with guys that never done anything wrong while they play football.
Hey, Boomer, on our post-game show on Thanksgiving Day,
much.
You made the remark that you didn't believe Taylor belonged in the Hall of Fame, instead the Hall of Shame, and Taylor has responded with his 2 Super Bowl rings and Hall of Fame ring. Where does this put you? You have a reply.
Like I said, it's typical. I mean, I didn't write the book. I didn't bring it up. It was brought up because he wanted to bring it up. And again, I'm responding to something that he said that I find to be personally affront. I have a problem with that because I'm an NFL football player, and that was not the NFL that I played in. I'm sorry, maybe the NFL that you played in, but it wasn't the one that I played in.
I'm sorry. On right now, guys are flunking drug tests every week. Right now, they're getting pulled over for alcoholism.
And they're not playing.
It happens every week.
All right, guys. Tonight, 60 Minutes with the rest of that interview with Lawrence Taylor. We'll continue on the NFL Today in just a moment. Dan has been perfect the last week.
I'm
5-0.
He's perfect.
Maybe naive, but you were
I'm
perfect.
naive, too.
And naive on top. Only one game back. Only one game back of Boomer on the season standings. Guys, we're going to begin with the Patriots and the Colts, which most of the nation's going to see here shortly. I'm going to lead off here with the team that I like going to the Super Bowl since day one. I think that this is a spot here where we'll see the best of the Colts today. I like Harrison in the end zone. Indianapolis.
And guys, listen, when I'm looking at this game, I'm still thinking about the other stuff. New England and Indianapolis both have two great quarterbacks. When I look about Indianapolis and the weapons they have, the Patriots must run the football in this game. I don't think they're going to be able to. I'm taking the Colts.
You're taking the Colts. You know what? If LT was playing in this game, he would be able to sack both of these. No, I'm just joking. I take Indy in this game.
I'm going to take Indianapolis in this game. That's going to set up a great game between Miami and New England next week. No Antoine Smith, no Troy Brown. Tom Brady's going to have a little trouble on the road in Indianapolis, but it's going to be close.
I never thought it'd be a clean sweep, and the crowd's not happy about that. We had some Patriot fans here, but let's go to the Broncos and the Raiders.
Well, you got two desperate teams right here, but you look at the Oakland Raiders, and they're starting to play a lot better because they're running the football, a grinded-out type offensive game plan. I don't think Denver really is going to be able to hold up front with their front seven. Look for the Raiders to run the ball 40-plus times and control the clock and win this game. I'm picking the Raiders.
But the Raiders are giving up 411 yards at home per game. I'm telling you, the Fortis has not played well versus the Raiders. But, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to go with Mike Shanahan, and I'm staying with Denver.
I'll tell you what I saw a Monday night game and where the Raiders got run over, and I remember that was a game that Rich Gannon was screaming on the sideline, and you really got on him, Dion. But I say this. I think the Raiders, according to Dan, have gotten better on the ground running the football, and I think that's why they're going to win. Remember, those two linebackers for the Denver Broncos, Ian Gold and John Mobley, not on the field. I like the Raiders at home.
And that goes 21-0 there, right at the very get-go there, Denver. I think Oakland's going to win this one. I think they're playing a lot better here with that 43 rush attempts per game in recent weeks. San Francisco, Baltimore. We know the Niners can't win on the road. Will they today, Dion?
What you just said again? They can't do what?
They haven't won a road game.
One more time.
Winless on the road.
I'm taking Baltimore.
I'll tell you, Jeff Garcia comes back today for the San Francisco 49ers. Couldn't have picked a worse time to come back and play against this defense coming off of last week's debacle against Seattle. They're going to be angry. They're going to be nasty. They're going to be all over him. And look for a T.O. explosion because Tim Rattay would throw him the ball. Jeff Garcia is not going to. I'm going to go with Baltimore at home.
I think Garcia has set out and watched how Rattay has worked it out with T.O., and I think we'll get here. Owens involved in this game early, and that road losing streak ends right here. I'm going San Francisco.
Ooh, really?
It's going to hurt.
I like San Francisco.
It's going to hurt. Last 2 weeks, Anthony Wright's getting better and better. He made a lot of plays last week. I like what he's doing. I think complimenting Jamal Lewis, Baltimore's going to win. I'm taking Baltimore.
Boomer, we got Minnesota St. Louis today.
Well, how can I pick St. Louis to go 13-3 and then expect them to lose at home against the Minnesota Vikings? Not happening today. I think Mark Bulger is going to get off the schneid. He's going to have a great game. Also look for the St. Louis defense to kind of close down Randy Moss a little bit if that's even possible. So I like St. Louis at home.
Hey, look at Randy Moss the last couple of weeks. He's been held in check, had a little tender ankle. I think he cuts loose today. This is going to be a lot closer than people think. I like the Rams by less than a touchdown here. I'll take St. Louis.
What did Mike Martz say? Bulger's my starting quarterback. He's 14-3 as a starter. They get 33 points at home. They average. Taking St. Louis.
Yeah, I want to go against you guys.
Go ahead, do it.
Damn.
Take an underdog for once.
Do it.
Do it. Man,
take it.
St. Louis is so good at
Take
home.
it.
I'm going to St. Louis. I'm going to go against man, I'm telling you.
Taking the favorites all along. All right, Kansas City and San Diego. I'll lead this one off. Hey, the Chiefs.
Walk away from me. Oh, yeah. You better run. Stuck on you.
Kansas City out west today.
Kansas City scores more points than anybody in the league, and guess who gives up the most points than anybody in the league? San Diego. Kansas City's my pick. And I'm close to you, Boomer. I'm only one back.
And I'm way ahead of Jim. But San Diego, you got to understand, it's not because of Marty Schottenheimer why I'm not picking this team. But when I played in San Diego, my last time playing there for San Francisco, they poured beer on my head. Man, I never tasted alcohol in my life, and I remember that. And I have a bad taste in my mouth for that. So I would never pick San Diego just because of that beer being poured
supposed to be less
on my
filling.
head.
You know what? I know you're ahead of Jim, so I'm obviously ahead of you, and I know you're only one behind me. But I'm going to stay with Kansas City, so therefore we're almost, I think, even.
We picked it, yeah.
I think we picked all the same teams.
Okay, well, we'll make our move later on.
I'm still.
I'm going to get you a beer one of these days.
There go LT. Only one road team, though. How about that?
You know what I think, though? You said something there profound. LT, you've got an invitation to come on this show next week.
Please,
right
LT.
Come on in.
I will
we'll
fly you here first class, baby.
That's the only way you travel.
That's right. And remember, I'm not talking about Lawrence Taylor. I'm talking about LT. Because there's two different people, I think.
But one of them going to whoop you. I don't know which one you want. LT or Lawrence Taylor. Which one you want to get you?
I don't know. It's kind of like Prime Time and Dion. Man. I don't know which person's going to show up.
Kind of like Boomer and Norman. I don't know which guy's going to show up.
Maybe he'll say yes. The invitation is out there. So, folks, we got a 4 o'clock game. We'll see you in just a moment. For the rest of you, it is game time on the NFL Today. Thanks for being with us right here on CBS.